We are in studio in our first bbR Spotlight. This is so exciting. And I have my favorite folks, Baltimore CorpS. I have Gary Williams with me, and you're the Deputy Director of the Public Allies.
Yep.
And I have Nigel Garcia. Nigel, you got to say what you do when you start talking. I don't. What do you do at Baltimore CorpS?
Fair enough. Deputy Director of Community Engagement and Recruitment.
Got it. I got to get it right. All right. So I'm here with the Black men today, y'all, and I'm loving it. I'm here with Kings. So we're going to talk about employment and apprenticeship and giving the Black community some information and access to Baltimore CorpS, right?
Yep, right.
So our first thing we're going to talk about is the Public Ally Program. So Gary, first I want you to tell us your story, who you are, where you from, bruh, you know, how you emerged into Baltimore CorpS, and then move right into the program and what it's about and what you expect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I'm Gary Williams. I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. Grew up, lived a little bit all over, but spent most of my childhood living in Washington Village, Pigtown, so Southwest Baltimore. Went to high school locally, went to Friends School of Baltimore up in North Baltimore, and then left for college because I thought I was going to be an archaeologist.
Oh, wow.
I was going to be the Black Indiana Jones. Decided not to be the Black Indiana Jones. It came back home. I think what really drove me to come back home was really wanting to do more for my city, take what I learned, take the experiences I gained from being in college and experience in the wider world, and say, like, how do I bring that back home?
Well, you got to stop for a minute because you said something interesting, because you're an inner city kid and you have friends.
Yeah.
So you got to tell her, how did that happen? How did you get from all the way South Baltimore to all the way, that's Northeast?
Yeah. That's right up on Charles Street, Charles and Northern Parkway.
Yeah. How did that happen?
So I went to a little Catholic school called St. Ignatius, which was a school, basically it's a school it was all Black kids, basically. I think I had one white kid in my school.
Wow.
The entire school I was there, which was really about how do they provide educational opportunities for talented kids who just needed that chance, that smaller environment that needed and wanted to grow and really take our intellectual skills to the next level, and challenge us. And so I had a really great experience there. And then part of that was figuring out then what school did I want to go to next. And so we had visited a bunch of different schools. I looked at private schools all across the country, even some boarding schools, and chose to stay home because I wanted to stay in Baltimore. Felt like I was too young. My mom thought I was too young to go leave the nest. And I chose Friends because it was a bit more liberal, progressive than some of the other private schools. And ended up there. So spent 4 years of high school there. That was a mind-opening experience. I think for me, I learned that the most important lesson I learned was, like, the kids that I grew up with in my neighborhood had just as much talent and intelligence as the kids I was in school with. They just didn't have the same opportunities because they weren't rich and they weren't white. And so
you went from an all Black school
to
an all white school.
Yep.
Excellent. So you had best of both worlds, and then a pretty affluent white school,
right,
like that. So that's the best of both worlds. So I'm sure you learned a lot of life skills.
Mm-hmm. Life skills, a lot. Got to experience a different side of Baltimore that I never knew existed. Right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Pigtown. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
you saw some grass, bro. Yeah.
Because I did not have a backyard in my house. So yeah, you're right. Like, right on the nose with that one. But yeah, and I think I really learned a lot, and I think what happened was I was in my neighborhood. So I had people around me who valued education, who told me education was important, who said, it wasn't, can you go to college, but you are going to go to college, and you're going to be able to go because you're so bright and talented to any school you so choose to go to. So I knew I was going to go, even, no matter how we were going to pay for it. I knew I was going to go because I just had so many folks from my community saying, like, we believe in you and we support you and we love you. And so I ended up going to Mercier's College, studying archaeology. And like I said, I came home because I realized I didn't want to go to grad school and I wanted to do more for my community, and felt like, well, the best way to do that is to come home, right? Like come back to Baltimore, live in the city, work in the city. I had always been involved and connected to the community. My mom was a community organizer in Pigtown. My grandmother, when she moved to Baltimore, was fighting block busting and redlining in the 60s. And fighting housing discrimination. And so I'd always been rooted and connected to community in that way, involved in things like youth as resources, doing organizing against the, when they first built the juvenile center on Gay Street. I was involved in work like that as a teenager. And so to me, it just felt like, all right, well, I'm coming home. Like, so I knew I was going to do this.
Where were you coming from? Where's this college? Where is
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Erie. Okay, right out of New York.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew I was coming home and thought like, well, what's the best way to do that? I came home and decided I was going to go back to St. Ignatius to teach because I thought I could reach the young people. I'm a bbR teacher. And so I did a term, a school year teaching. I realized that teaching was not my calling.
Oh, I know that.
I was not. It's better to realize early than later, right? Like I realized that my skill set was not going to grow and be effective. But I also think too, one of the things is, you know, it intellectually, and even as someone who's experienced it, because I didn't grow up with money. You know, I grew up single parent home. Anyone who knows Pigtown knows the kind, well, it's gentrified now, but back when I was in there in the 90s and early 2000s was, you know, it was hot around there. And so
racist too, hot.
Yeah, that too. So I mean, look, it had everything over
put
there.
It all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and realized too, my kids were experiencing things outside of the classroom that was affecting their ability to perform.
Sure.
So they didn't care to come into my classroom and learn if their basic needs weren't being met. You know, if it was hard for them to eat fine food at home, if they, you know, parents could hardly afford clothes, right? Like if experiencing homelessness, mental health issues, things like that. And so to me, it felt like the things those factors that I wanted to change in their lives, and recognize too that it was in their community, because I grew up in the same communities that they lived in. And so being like, maybe the classroom isn't the best space to affect that kind of change, you know, and I needed to do something different. So I was looking for another job to do that kind of work. And then actually, you know, Public Allies was a program that came to Baltimore at that time. I was looking. Okay. And so I saw it as an opportunity. And, you know, I applied for the program. I got in. So I was in the inaugural class cohort and served an AmeriCorps term, because Public Allies is an AmeriCorps program. So I did that. I actually got to go back to my neighborhood of Pigtown and do some work around code enforcement. So really, you know, trying to put the pressure on folks who have abandoned homes and are like, just, you know, not taking care of the properties, which leads to illegal dumping, which leads to all kinds of environmental factors that we don't think, but affects people's not just quality of life, but even their health, their physical health, you know, and even their mental health. Because we know, studies now know that like that kind of thing is not just, you know, danger to your lungs and everything, but also, you know, what does it do to the human psyche that live in a place?
Walking through trash every day.
Right,
you know,
right. That disinvestment, right? And that intentional disinvestment, right?
Yes.
And so was working with neighbors and organizing around those issues, and did that. I spent the second half of that program also doing some work around on returning citizens, with JOTF in their Project Jumpstart program. So I was doing some work with them in the second half so I got a really great experience of like working in my community, but also learning about and what it takes to like mobilize residents to do work, and doing some of that basic like organizing, and what does it take to be effective and get people to care and want to engage and put pressure on, you know, city government and city agencies to, you know, to do stuff and to move and be more attentive to residents' needs. And then also learned about, you know, incarceration, because and learn it in a deep way of like, what does it take to come home and transition back into society, and all of the barriers, and watching, you know, the guys at Project Jumpstart like really, you know, navigate the, you know, we think of just the justice system, right? But there's so many other things that are connected to that, and that block their blessings and their,
you know, all
right, it's very incestuous. Yeah, like, so you come home, you can't access, you know, certain public benefits. It's hard to get a loan if you want to start a business, right? Like, so you're locked out of the financial industry and the banking industry.
Or then you couldn't vote.
Right, you couldn't vote then, yeah, because this was 2009, 2010. So, yeah, like, so all of those things that came together, you know, and I learned that and got to really, you know, meet the guys and learn that in a very intimate way. You know, I knew it because of the guys in my neighborhood, but now being able to marry that with an actual, like, you know, anti-racist analysis, right? Like, for me, it was really important for my growth, you know?
But let me ask you a question. Did you, so when you say you work with the actual program, or they didn't just send you there and say, start code enforcement, right? So
yeah, so what happened was, I was on the street, like, talking and knocking on doors, asking people, did they know the owners of the house, how long it's been abandoned, how often are you seeing people dump, like, you know, are you reporting? And so we started collecting
in the community. You were engaging the community.
Yes. And then mobilizing people on the block to say, all right, well, we're all going to call. And then we would even schedule when we want to stagger calls to 311, the code enforcement, right? So we would say, like, you know, if you live in this street, you know, at these 15 houses, right? Like, we're going to call on this day this week. The next group is going to call on the next day, and another group, right? And they really say, like, no, you are getting consistent phone calls.
We're bombarding them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and then reaching out to our city, you know, our city council members, and telling them, like, you need to make sure, like, that this is being enforced. You know, we're not seeing anyone, you know, and a lot of folks are home. So they were like, yeah, like, I sit on my porch, on my stoop all day, and no one came by. So they would say, like, oh, we checked it out, it's fine, or whatever. And it's like, no one from the city came. Like, I've been on my stoop every day for the last 3 weeks and no one's come.
Wow.
So, you know, it's like, so yeah, we're really engaging community members and getting them to believe that someone will actually, like, do something, right? Because that's the belief that they can come together and push, even just to get the basic services done, you know. And that was a hard part, because people were like, I called one time. And so but really getting them to believe in their collective power together to act and push systems and mobilize and stuff like that.
So I'm hearing community, I'm hearing engagement, I'm hearing actualization. You know, it's a lot of things going into this public ally thing. And a lot of times what I see in Baltimore is it's been so lackadaisical and responding to the community. And if you don't go that route and have someone to actually galvanize the community, bombard the city, you're not gonna get no response.
Right.
You know, you're just not gonna get it. So I can see the value. You know, I can see that type of value from living here for as long as I've lived here. Baltimore has an issue with being proactive. Let's say that.
Yeah, and I think for me, being a public ally, being in the program, right, and then experiencing that at my placement, and then being able to go back to my peers, because we would meet as a cohort every Wednesday. We would meet together, and we would meet. They would bring other professionals from around the city to talk to us, other organizers and stuff. So it's like I get a chance to, like, pick their brain and learn. You know, I get to take, and I got to say, like, all right, one of our values in the program is collaboration. Well, I get to go practice that and work with my neighbors, people who I knew because I grew up in that neighborhood. So these are, like, when I say they're my neighbors, like, they knew me, my mama, my brother, right? Like, and so it was like, I get to practice these values and figure out, how do I actually live these values, you know, in my community that I grew up in, you know, and in a way, and live that authentically, right? And say, like, you know, I'm not just someone who might live in Howard County and commute in the city and want to help you. And that's not to, you know, badmouth anyone or anything who does that, but just like, I grew up here. I know this street. I know this house has been abandoned since I was a teenager. And now I'm 23 coming back and it's still that way, you know? Like, and
So you
so
can live knowledge,
yeah.
So that was strategic to put you where you were familiar.
Yeah, it was lived knowledge because I'm from Baltimore. I lived in that neighborhood. And so when I was, matched with that organization, they were excited. Some of those people I worked with knew my mom, like, because she worked at that organization too, like a decade before. So
legacy, right? Legacy, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And so they, a couple of them were like, "Oh yeah, I know Stephanie. She was great," And I was like, "Shout out to my mother, Stephanie." But yeah, and so to me, it was a great chance of being a public ally allowed me to practice those values and to live that and to build my skills. Because most of the community organizers I knew, they weren't fully paid staff people, right? Like, and sometimes they were struggling to make the ends meet, but they loved their community. And it was a chance for me to find a way to like get into that as this work, the nonprofit sector, this, community work as a career. Because despite having lived knowledge and knowing communities, when I was coming home from college, everyone at the height of the recession at that time, everyone was like, you needed 5 years to do basic entry-level role in the sector. And I was like, so I needed someone who could verify, like I could go out and do work in the community. And Public Allies provided me that opportunity to do that as a young person. What was great about it is that it was almost everyone in my cohort was from Baltimore. So it was like meeting my peers from around the city who were doing different work, and so we had people from, Park Heights to Cherry Hill, I'm from Pigtown, to folks, over East, Bel Air, Edison, and so having us meet every Wednesday as a cohort, us doing work all across the city, and sharing that knowledge, like, oh, you work at, neighborhood planning council, oh, you work here, let's share these resources and get our organizations to talk. That they might not have actually communicated, but because we shared that cohort.
Let me ask a question because before I lose it, you said Park Heights, all of these different neighborhoods, right? But all of these different neighborhoods have a huge Black imprint, and Baltimore is 70% Black, so most neighborhoods are going to have a lot of Black people. So were these young Black people in the program doing this collaborating?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So even from then and up till now, over 80% of our cohort is Black.
Okay.
And so for us, that's important, right? Like we can't say we value
important to the community too, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do that," But you have to understand that you can do anything, and that there's possibilities. Because Baltimore it's really Black. It's a Black city.
It is a chocolate city.
Woo! You better say
it. and I mean, to be honest, that's why I continue to stay here. And I bought a house in a Black neighborhood.
Me too.
My son goes to a Black public school.
You better
right?
say all of that.
Because I wanted us to live in a Black city, in a Black neighborhood, and go to a Black school. It's something I was telling.
I'm telling you. It means a lot. You think
I want my tax dollars to go to my Black tax dollars to go to a Black city,
get all into it. Your Black
those were intentional decisions, my wife and I made. We were like, we wanted to do that. And so I can't say I love Baltimore. I felt like I love Baltimore, and the way I can do that is to live in Baltimore and live in a Black neighborhood. And for me, the most foundational way to do that is to spend my property tax dollars in support of this Black city that needs it, right? Like that's one of the things we can do. So for me, it was a great, and it was mostly Black folks. Yeah.
Build from inside out. I really believe that.
Exactly. And for me, that's important in our program, right? Like we support, even though there are public ally sites all across country, right? Baltimore, DC, San Fran, Chicago. Michelle Obama started the Chicago site of public allies. But each, for us, is so important that our talent is local, right? And that our talent reflects the community. So we want people from Baltimore, right? There's a few outsiders sprinkled in, right? But like the overwhelming majority of our people have to be from Baltimore, and we want them to look like the people of Baltimore. Like it would not, we couldn't be our most authentic selves if we had a program that says we're about community, right? That we're about building local talent and not have local talent. Like that
That
just to
happens a
me.
lot. You know, and we know that that happens a lot. Like
It does happen a lot.
companies come in and they bring who they're comfortable with,
Right.
and they spread them around the city, and they say they're doing community work, but they're doing it from a default.
Right.
Because part of doing community work is being familiar with
Mhm.
the culture and the heartbeat of that community. And it's not that you can't do it. I'm not saying you can, but that piece of being familiar is so important. You know, it gives you an empathy that you can't
Yeah.
just make up. You know,
And what it says to us, right? Because at in this public allies program, we tell people that that the solution to our problems are from community out. That the people who live in community are the most connected to the issue and have the skills, the tools, the knowledge, right?
yep,
That if they organize and work together, can address and solve those problems, right? That the best solutions to our problems are going to come from people who are deeply rooted and connected in community and live in the community, right? And so for us in this program to run that means investing in talent in Baltimore, right? That means, as a public allies program, as Baltimore Core as an entire organization, like we truly believe that. And if we believe that, we have to match that, we have to walk that talk. And so that is about investing in that local talent. So in our program, we provide opportunities for people to do this 10-month-long apprenticeship experience in the Public Allies program. We provide the coaching, we build the cohort, right? Because we view the cohort as a mini community. So people from all across the city who can learn from each other, build with each other, share with each other, right? Go back to wherever they're working and apply that, and then bring those tools that they get and share. And I think to us, that's so important. And so if we're going to say and truly believe, right, like community members, that communities, especially, ones that I've grown up in, that people have always said are, disinvested or poor, they lack, right? Like we flip that on its head and say to people, like, those are folks who have answers and solutions, right? And are and have power, right? And have power as a collective. Maybe they're not as rich as Amazon and can't, they're not Jeff Bezos and can call a politician, right? But what they can do is they can make life real difficult for folks if they come together. And so we,
they can
right?
shake the table. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
shake the table, right? And shut it down. And so what we believe is we tell people, and is that therefore nothing is going to get fixed if community doesn't believe in it. Nothing's going to get fixed if community members don't mobilize to address it. Nothing's going to get fixed if you don't have community in charge and in the lead, right? And so we try to build in this experience a chance for folks to share that same mindset with the idea that as we build leaders who believe that and work in community and do that, like we can continue to shake the table, build on the foundation of our ancestors who shook stuff and changed stuff, right? And help young folks who are passionate and care. And we know, this upcoming generation cares a whole lot, right? And they've shown that, through this pandemic, right? Stepping up, working in community,
Yep.
oftentimes for free, oftentimes for no benefit of themselves, but for the benefit of, their peers, their community members, the auntie down the street, everything.
I've seen it. You're so right.
And
I've seen
right,
the Black community I haven't seen my whole life in Baltimore. It's just
right.
amazing to see. Yeah.
And we can come together. So we at Public Allies try to build a network. We want to build a network of folks who can actually do that, live those values, because we believe once community is activated and motivated, it's going to change. Stuff can't help but change. Community members are going to change the course of the trajectory of their community and build something incredible.
I love it. So, is there age requirement? Is there a schooling requirement? We want to know the nitty gritty. You don't made it pretty. Now
So the age requirement, you have to be at least 18 years old, and you have to have a high school diploma, and that's it.
Whoa.
And so a minimum age of 18 and have your high school diploma or GED, and that's it. That's the minimum. And really, like I said,
age that you would.
there's no maximum age.
There's no maximum age.
No maximum age.
So
And
it's
so I
wide
think,
open.
yeah, it's wide open. So, I mean, we've had folks, to be honest, we've had folks in their 50s in our cohort, right? Like, I mean, it's mostly youngish adults, but we've had folks, you know, we have a wide age diversity in our cohort.
They diverse.
We don't discriminate.
50-year-olds like that. Oh, watch it, bro.
You know, we don't discriminate. So we keep it open. We 18 have a high school diploma and a passion. So you don't have to have, again, this is a chance for folks who might not have necessarily done this work and gotten paid and turn it into a career. This is a chance for folks to turn it into a career. And really be able to build that opportunity to do so. So we call it an apprenticeship because we've structured the program in that way. So folks, 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursday, Fridays, are placed at a local nonprofit. We've helped work with that organization to build a position description to really help people get to like building the capacity of that organization and doing important work, you know, for their community. And then on Wednesdays, we bring the cohort together and we have a real rigorous leadership development program, training curriculum that covers everything from, we actually did a workshop around slavery in Maryland and its influence today, and like how the history of slavery in Maryland and specifically Baltimore, you know, influenced the development of the city, all the way to stuff that folks need to be successful, to, you know, managing and leading teams, negotiating conflict, community organizing work. So we have an alum that's going to come in a few weeks and talk about effective community organizing, you know, practices and stuff like that. So it covers the why. What do you need for someone who's passionate about community, but maybe don't have a lot of experience? And we try to cover that in the breadth and depth of our 10-month-long experience, you know, and get you exposed to that.
But when does it start? When does the cohort start?
So our next cohort actually, our application is open now.
Okay.
So we're accepting folks. Apply.publicallies.org. So folks can go and apply. And the cohort starts September 14th and it'll run through the end of June next year. So it's 10 months. And so we're in the middle of, you know, recruiting allies, candidates. We're also recruiting placements out there. And so we're doing both of those. So it's real, you know, so we're if you're hearing us and listening out there, you know, come connect, come build with us.
So let me ask another question. Do you, so you said September to June. Mm-hmm. Okay. And are you recruiting for like all of the neighborhoods in Baltimore? How does that work? Like,
so what we do is we have organizations, we kind of recruit organizations at the same time. And so those organizations could be doing a wide variety of things. So just to give you an example of some of the work. So we have some folks who are, you know, in city agencies like the Mayor's Office for Children and Family Success. And so we got 3 allies over there. We actually have some allies placed at Baltimore Court doing some really great work. One works with
in the city. I get it.
Yeah, they're all over the city. In the past, we've had folks at like Central Baltimore Partnership, No Boundaries Coalition, Code in the Schools, so work, Digital Harbor Foundation. We've had, you know, our app placed in a bunch of different places. We don't focus on one specific issue area because we really believe, right, like folks can get a chance to learn in a bunch of different environments. And so we try to cover a broad set of issues. You know, we're pretty issue agnostic. Yep. But the goal for us is really for us to find organizations who believe in talent and are willing to take someone who's new to the field or has a limited amount and want to provide that coaching and mentoring. So not just task management, but like, I want to build and develop your skills because I believe in you as a leader and want to see you go far.
That helps a lot because sometimes when you haven't done something before, you have like, you kind of scared or, you know, have low self-esteem when you start. So if you have a process that actually is developing you, it's an incredible experiment, you know, because you're developing so many things at one time. And it's a skill set. That's your tools that you put in your box. So, you know, I would love to have that when I started working. You know, you just go work and you figure it out.
Yeah. And I think about myself, like I needed that. So coming into this program, I needed to figure out how to work effectively on a team, because I was definitely a person who's like, I can do good by myself, right? Like, so, so, and one of the experiences I had with my peers is we were doing a community, or within the cohort, we have small teams of the same cohort do team service projects. So they do these kind of self-directed community organizing projects. And I was a mess on the team, right? Like, I just was not the most effective collaborator. I was,
I love honesty.
I was the last person in our meetings and the first one to leave. And so I was not necessarily, obviously that's changed now, but what sparked that change, right, was then my teammates being able to come and say, look, we believe you bring something of value, but your behavior doesn't allow you to do that. Like, so they kind of pulled me together, lovingly and honestly, got me together. And it changed the direction of I'm beyond, not just the rest of that cohort, but the rest of that my career, right? Like, those are the people I keep. It was funny, like, I literally helped one of the things that's a benefit is the cohort, because you build these relationships with people and they become lifelong friendships. Mm-hmm. So I have kids, and one of my cohort members have kids, and our kids grow up together and think of each other as like brother and sister, right? Nice. They play together, they go to the same schools, we've kept in touch. There was a cohort member who was, because my wife was also in the program with me. We weren't married at the time, but wow. My wife's maid of honor.
Where are you pimping the program? I love it.
You might find love wherever you can find it. And
I love it.
Like, she was my wife's maid of honor. Like, whenever I have career questions, like, some of the first people I call are folks I served with during that time.
Got it.
Need practice for a job interview, I call them. Hey, can you review my resume? Or hey, like, and so hey, like, I'm trying to figure this issue out with a coworker and I need a neutral party. Can you give me some advice? Like, they are yes, you get the training and the learning, right? You get the work experience, the career development, but also the cohort and the experience, and those people become your network. And so when you're trying to move through work, not just career, but life, you got these people you've had this intense 10-month experience with. And at the end, you may feel like, oh my God, I don't want to see these people again because we spent way too much time together. But then about a month or two after, you start realizing like, oh, these people were really valuable, right? Yeah. Like, I've learned so much, and you stay connected. And so some of those folks, a lot of those folks, I'm pretty sure talk to them still like at least once a month, but even
family, you build family.
11 years since I've served.
Yeah, that's
they become family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a family thing when you spend that much time with someone. It gets very intimate. And,
right.
And with you, very intimate. You get married. I love it. But really, let me leave that alone. But I mean, I love it though. You never know where you're gonna meet your mate. That's a beautiful thing. And social entrepreneur, I love it. No problem.
Opportunities. You just gotta opportunities come. You gotta seize them.
You better seize it, bro. So it's all good. It is totally all good. So the biggest question, it's gonna come. What about that bag, bro?
Yeah. So
what about that cash?
And so,
how they get it?
So, we're in the AmeriCorps program. So we have a $16,500 stipend that's spread over the 10 months.
Oh, there we go. Ting, 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 ting. So 16.5 is what they get.
Yep, 16.5. And then there's a $6,100 education award that you get at the completion of the program. And it can be used for any 2-year, 4-year grad school or trade school in the country.
So you can't, that's not something you would access for yourself. That's to go to school. It's like a scholarship.
Yeah, that's to further your education. Yep.
Got it.
And let me tell you, it is a benefit. As someone who got 2 of those things, the 2 terms and the 2.
Yeah, that's 12 racks.
When you had to pay them, but I had to pay them back student loans, boy. Come through for you.
Mm-hmm.
And also one of the things that helps, right, is because, so those are like the 2 kind of big financial. We also have health insurance that you don't have to pay, premiums for. So we cover the full cost of health insurance. during your term of service. And so that's important. The other thing that I tell people, because this program is housed inside of Baltimore Core, is the access to all of like career services. So all the stuff like our place for purpose to help you figure out your next step. This is like the best. I mean, there's not a financial price you can put on that, right? So to be able to say like, oh, I'm thinking about going to graduate school, and we have a relationship with University of Baltimore now, where folks who serve in our program have access to another $1,000 scholarship on top of their $6,100 scholarship to continue their education, right? Or, hey, I'm looking for a job, and I know you all actually have you at Public Allies in Baltimore Core have a relationship with this organization. You know, can you put in a good word for me? And you know, because you know, my buddy Nigel is the connection. He can make that happen. I can see
Nigel close, bro. I ain't crazy.
You know, our director of community engagement, aka the plug, can make that happen. And so that's, for me, that's the big thing, right? Is you know, you get the stipend, the health insurance, especially as we've learned in this pandemic. You don't want to be in the cold without health insurance. For me, the education award, because college is expensive. And so to get, you know, $6,100 to further your education, again, whether that's 2-year, 4-year, graduate school, trade school, whatever that form of education comes as, to be able to use that is invaluable, you know, and to build. And we also provide access to childcare vouchers for folks who have children and need help with daycare. And so that's assistance with that. So we also have that as, you know, and like I said, the opportunities of being plugged into that Baltimore Core network and be able to access all of the resources and the heft of that organization. And we have done that. You know, we in our last 3 cohorts successfully, 90 days after the program, everyone has either been once they finish, has been connected to work or connected to school, right? Whatever their options are. And so for us, that's important, because it's not, we don't want you to do this 10-month experience and just be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, right? It's, you know, we want to make sure we start from the beginning of the program. We literally, the first month, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What do you hope to do? You know, what's the kind of work you want to engage in the community? How do we help build that? Do you want to further your education? Do you want to start your own organization? And we've done that and help folks start their own organization, connect them to resources to, you know, get funding to start their own nonprofits and social enterprises. And so we've really, you know, try to do that as well. And that's important to see that, like, you don't just do 10 months and you're out in the cold. You do 10 months and you're connected, well-resourced, your knowledge is built, your skills are built, and we can help you, you know, navigate to whatever you decide as an individual your next opportunity is.
I love it. So after 10 months, you in the house.
Right. Right.
In the house.
Right.
So let me make sure I got it right. It's 10 months.
Yeah.
Starts in September.
Yeah.
So that ends about June.
Yeah.
16 racks, 1665, right? And compensatory and healthcare.
Yep.
Child vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing.
And education, $6,100
$6,000. And if you want to go to UB, you get another rack.
Yep.
Listen, guys, listen, because this don't happen in our communities. I'm being honest, you know, and a lot of young people don't even know, you know, I've seen young people out here digging in their pockets.
Right.
You know, they're trying to help the young veteran out here and try to bring, because it's so many kids, parents are getting high. This is real talk.
Right. Real talk.
Okay. So it's a lot of young people not only helping themselves, but they got siblings.
Yeah.
You know, and they're out here digging in their pockets and trying to hustle up when they can go in that same community and build the community out, get paid, get health insurance, and get a better skill set so that when they come back to that community, they can build it out further.
Yep.
You know, I love it.
And I mean, when I think about it on a wider scale too, like our sector our nonprofit sector, social sector, whatever title you want to call it, we need folks who are passionate, who are from here, and who can bring a different perspective around leadership, right? Yeah. Because, you know, we have a sector, and that is a very top down, right? Like, It has to come from these CEOs or executive directors or whatever glorified title you give yourself, right? And it only comes from them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so they have a walled organization that makes it hard to work with community, right? And so, and if we're really talking about it, right, a lot of times those are majority white led organizations. We have a lot of what we call snow-capped organizations, right? So you got
Yep.
organizations with lots of Black and brown folks in it and lots of white folks leading it. And so
Yep.
we believe in changing that paradigm, right? That, like, you know, organizations need to work with community, alongside community, have community members being the lead in that change. And we want to build a cohort, and not even a cohort, but a movement of leaders to change how our organizations interact, work with, and try to address problems with community. Because instead of trying to do it us, and then we're going to get you on our advisory board and maybe co-sign some stuff that isn't necessarily the best, right? Like, how do we change it so that community members are actual community organizations, are actual partners and actual leaders in the sector, right? Partners with community, not and neighbors with community, not just doing things without community's blessings, not doing things that are counter to what's best for neighborhoods, but how are we building that? And we're seeing that movement now. We got a lot of folks in the city that are doing that, and we want to be part of that, you know, with this Public Allies program, continuing to build what we think are those value infused skills needed to do so, right? To make that happen for Baltimore and to continue to accelerate that movement, you know?
I love it. AmeriCorps, is that something that's in all community, in all like cities that is having
Yeah. So
community?
there are different programs. So you probably have heard of programs like Vista and other kinds of AmeriCorps programs. So Public Allies is an AmeriCorps program. And like I said, there's Baltimore Core runs the local site for Public Allies, the local Public Allies Baltimore site, but there's, you know, Public Allies programs across the country in 25 different cities. And Baltimore Core, we run the local one, and we ran it for the last 3 years. And it's been a great partnership having this program in Baltimore Core. We're very mission aligned. We both believe, you know, this program believes in investing in talent. Baltimore Core believes in investing in talent. Obviously, with the name of Public Allies Baltimore and Baltimore Core, we believe in local Baltimore City talent.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and so I think it was a match made in heaven when Baltimore Core took over, to really be able to say we're mission aligned. We believe in the same thing. We have the same values. We practice the same values. And let's continue to build and move. And so, and you know, and so the person who's been leading this program the last 3 years, it's been, you know, it's important, you know. So I've gone from being a program participant to I've done some coaching of that, you know, what we call our allies, and now I run the program. And so I've seen it in the program in its life cycle, participated in different pieces of the life cycle of it, you know, and so I can share that experience with our members and folks who engage with us. Of like, I know what it's like to be an ally directly in community and do community organizing work.
And that's what's more impressive, is
Yeah.
that the build that you came from inside out. That's what's more impressive.
Yeah.
So if you get a hard head, knucklehead that come in like you and don't want to do nothing, bruh, then you know that same person can go from there to where you are. So you got to pour into them. You know, a lot of times we don't have patience with young people. They just don't know. No. And they've had to be selfish to survive. You know, survival ain't something where you be friendly. Survival is selfish. And because you have to survive. That's what it is.
Right. Right.
So when a person comes to a process where they got to be in a cohort and they got to share with others, you have to be able to digest that. And that digestion takes a while. We got to have patience and grace for our young people. And a lot of times that's not happening. So that's a good thing that you've been through this. Is impressive. Then when someone comes with that barrier, you know, you got some grace for them. You know that they can grow it to something more. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And I think being able to share with folks, right? Like, it's funny you say that, because, you know, I think survival can be inherently selfish, but then, you know, I think about, you know, one of my favorite gospel songs, right, that talks about I need you to survive, right? So it's really what it's about is like how we need community, in order to survive, we need community. But oftentimes we're placed in positions in which we think our survival solely depends on us, right?
Yeah.
But really, maybe it's not survival. Maybe we need each other to thrive, right? So what's the next step post survival, right? So you're able to breathe, right? How are you actually able to self-actualize? Is being in healthy relationships with everybody, your family, friends, your neighbors, and all of that, you know. And so I think you know, we really in our cohort stress that, right? Like, you know, Baltimore is a city of neighborhoods, right? And the city isn't healthy until you know, healthy until all the neighborhoods are healthy. You know, we need all of our neighborhoods healthy, you know, not just 5 or 6, you know, the ones bordering the harbor and the ones at the north part of the city, right? Like we need that black butterfly, you know, to really be fine.
It got to fly away. That black butterfly.
Right. You needed to really be flying. Shout out to Dr. Brown. But it's just like, you know, for us, and then we see that, and, you know, and not even a deficit. We also just see that there's talent and skill and passion in those communities that people think there aren't any in, right? In those communities we always talk about is we have all kinds of names for them, right? But like I said, there's so much talent and skill. And so how do we mobilize folks to apply that talent, the skill to solve some of the biggest problems in the city, right? And that's really that's the root of public allies. How do we mobilize community, right, that has so much talent and skill, right? Instead of seeing it as half empty, it's half full also, right?
Yes.
It might be, and how do we help communities and help other people see the fullness of these communities, right? And help people see the fullness of themselves to go out and change their neighborhood, right? And do that, and do that as a collective, and not as an individual, but as a collective.
Yeah, you said a mouthful. But it can happen. But a lot of times it's exposure to the information. A lot of people don't even know, you know, and that's why we have to come together and kind of inform the community, because a community is only viable by the information that's presented.
Yep.
You know, and so as we present this, we pray that young people or anyone would access it who has the passion to go into these communities and want change. Baltimore needs it. And the only way Baltimore can heal is from inside out. They can bring all they want in, but it's all already here. So we have to develop what's here. And if we do that, I think we'll see a multiple change, and then add access and treat neighborhoods with equity, schools with equity, food deserts. It's just some things we got to solve. And and if we want to see different, but definitely I think the talent has to come from inside, because that's where the care comes in, the empathy for the people.
Yeah. And the people have skills. We know it.
All day.
We know it. We see it. We see it. You know, I was telling somebody yesterday, I'm like, whether it's the squeegee boys, right? Like to run a successful squeegee corner, you gotta have some people skills. You gotta have some customer service. You gotta be able to get the count right. Like you gotta understand how to manage inventory. Like you gotta be able to handle the word no, because you hear no more than you hear yes. And so it's like, well, how do we help folks like that apply that skill elsewhere?
Listen, Gary, let me tell you something. Let me give you a little jewel. Just probably 4 days ago, I stopped and talked to a squeegee young man, eBay. He's been squeegeeing for 10 years. Are you hearing me? 10 years. I said, what? So he has return customers that he's built over 10 years.
Right.
So he's made a way that he can source who's coming on each day and what time he should be there. This is, he's done built a business.
Right.
You know,
right.
He's built a whole business. And then before he was done with me, he gave me his QR code. So he has technology, ingenuity. I'm looking at him. I'm listening to him. I'm gonna go back and get him. But I just wanted to talk to him and try to get where he is. But this is what they're doing. When a young man is on a corner for 10 years, squeegeeing, he's gonna have to be passionate to get off that corner for $125 a day. And it has to be something that's gonna draw him, to make him be better, and also that's transferable, you know, because a lot of times we tell them leave the corner, what they gonna go to when they make $100?
You know,
they make more money than most people.
You gotta give them the opportunity, right? And it has to be a chance that allows them to move to access that quickly. You know, you can't say like we're gonna do this thing in 5 years, it'll work out for you. Like BG&E monthly. So, you know, like they, and so
Yeah.
you got to give folks a chance to do that. And so,
You don't want a young man like to be there for 20 years. So what do you do when you get older? After a while, the body won't be able to handle the squeegee. You know, so he has to get something that's going to transfer at some point. You spent 10 years there.
yeah.
You know, most of us don't spend 10 years on a job.
No, I mean, and people treat them like a nuisance, but they're really entrepreneurs, right? In order for you to
All day.
successfully be able to manage that for 10 years, right? Like, you know, he probably started making only $2 and then he built it up. So obviously there's a level of intelligence and acumen, skill and talent. And I think, you know, I believe in Baltimore so much. And so, and I just believe in its people and I believe in its community and I believe folks have talent and skills and knowledge, and there's just a hustle and a drive and a willingness. And also, you know, despite what people, you know, say, even, you know, there's a loving community, at least, you know, that I feel. And I feel like for me, I just believe in this city so much. And so that's why for me, it was so important. It's important to run this public hours program. It was important for me to buy my house here. It's important for me to live in this city. I try to be the biggest cheerleader for Baltimore. I got friends from out of town. They're like, you know, they always are like, man, I'm looking to move. I'm like, well, Baltimore, come here. This is the greatest city in the world. Like, if you want to start anything, you're going to come to a new place. Like, this is the place to come, you know, and they always are like, why you just go so hard? And I'm just like, I understand. It's annoying, but I love it. You know, I love this city and believe in it so much.
I do too. And I think, Gary, in 5 years, you better tell them they're not going to be able to get here.
Right, right.
Don't sleep on B-more.
But they say it's like the stock market, buy early, you know, get in early.
Because if you don't get in this Amazon, yo,
right,
it's a bookstore right now.
Right.
It's about to be UPS and all the things he's into now, food stores. It started as a bookstore. We're in a bookstore stage.
Yeah.
You better get in.
And I believe in it. And there's so much work happening and so many people doing such great, powerful things around the city. And it just makes me feel so optimistic about the future of Baltimore.
That's better.
Because I see the work that people are putting in and doing. It's hard not for, you know, it's hard not to feel optimistic when you see the work that people are doing around the city and the great things that are happening. And so, you know, for us, you know, we try to help out where we try to do our part where we can and help people out, engage with folks, connect, build, you know, be a resource, be a bridge, build relationships, you know, where we can. You know, and do our part. And that's just so, because again, we just believe in Baltimore so much.
Wow, you like a pastor, bro. You a Baltimore pastor.
Right?
I'm like, amen. Amen. I love it. I love it. You convincing me, and I'm here. Damn. All right, Nigel. You're gonna have to unmute, because the public allies, you did an excellent job. You explained it, you're passionate about it. And we're gonna get some public allies in here. We're gonna definitely
There we go.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen. So we got another little piece of this, Nigel. What we got?
All right.
First, tell us who you are.
Okay,
Nigel.
My bad.
Yeah.
Nigel, Deputy Director of Recruitment and Community Engagement for Baltimore Corps.
Good.
Happy to be on your show again. Happy to be inspired and listen to Gary talk about public allies, you know what I mean? And the love that he has for the city is infectious throughout our entire organization, right?
Yep.
Cool. So with that, I want to speak to your network, right? I know you have a lot of followers who are deep embedded in community, who are already like doing like youth development and youth work and youth empowerment. And we partnered with the city this summer to help them with the Youth Works summer job program, right? So Baltimore Corps, our piece of that, our responsibility is to recruit the job coaches and the job coach managers. So these individuals will be the one who will like virtually check in with the young people throughout the summer employment, you know, give them some trainings and lessons on like financial literacy, some like, you know, office professionalism, kind of one-on-one type things, and really help guide this experience for them. Really important because, you know, we're virtual now. And I remember doing summer youth back in I remember being in person as a young person doing summer youth and really feeling that support and that vibe from like the elders in that professional workplace, right? So what the Mayor's Office of Employment Development has done is created this plan to hire like over like 100 job coaches. These are the people who are going to be virtually interacting with the young people during the summer and doing that case management, providing that support. As you can tell, Baltimore Corp, we're really big on building cohorts and providing support.
Yes.
And I really want to talk to your audience because this is a great opportunity for people who have other things going on, but who are already involved directly with mentoring and like mentoring youth, right? So for example, the job coach manager is only 25 hours per week from 8:30 to 2:30, right? And temporary opportunity, $15 per hour, right? I'm sorry, that's the job coaches, $15 per hour, right?
That's 25 hours a week.
Yeah, 25 hours a week, $15 per hour. And that's the job coaches. And the reason why I think it's a good opportunity for people who are already doing the work, it could just, they're taking the skills of what they've already done, just helps supplementing a little quick summer employment, and they're doing what they're already passionate about, right? And then we're also looking for like 10 job coach managers. These are the people who are going to be leading and organizing the 100 job coaches, right? That one is 35 hours per week at like $20 per hour, like, schedule of like 8:30 to 4:30. Temporary as well. We're looking to have people start all together like June 14th, the earliest, and the last day of work will be August 9th. So it really, truly is a summer opportunity.
Summer. Yes, June 14th to August
9th.
Oh yeah, that's strictly summer. So that's just for what the kid. This is YouthWorks though, and that's okay. So YouthWorks is within that time.
Yep, exactly. So be working with the young people, mentoring them during this YouthWorks experience, help guiding them, right? So that's why we're looking for true, authentic people who are already doing this to help come and join already, right? One of the things I want to highlight, age requirement, just 21, high school degree, and just comfortable working in a virtual environment. I think after a year, a lot of us are pretty comfortable.
I don't know many who's not.
Maybe a little too comfortable, but
what's wrong with you?
You know what I mean? Yeah. So just want to highlight that job, that opportunity is also on Baltimore Corp's website.
So that's on and we got managers, $20 an hour, 30 hours a week.
35 hours per week.
Excuse me, 35 hours a week at $20 an hour.
Yep.
And then we have, and that's 10 positions.
Yeah.
And then we have 100 positions of job coaches.
Yeah.
At $15 an hour, 25 hours a week. Am I correct?
You are correct. And I just want to say the number of positions that we're looking to hire is an estimate, right? Because the Mayor's Office of Employment Development, they're working like behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but like very, very hard, finding different placement sites and recruiting youth. You dig what I'm saying? So it'll be a blessing, a real good blessing if we need more than 100. That's a good thing, because that means they got more youth to be involved and more organizations to like sign up for having like youth in the summer program. So I want to encourage everybody to like apply. You're taking a break this summer, or you're figuring things out, or you're an entrepreneur, or you just want to like get paid for what you're naturally good at. Yeah, we want you to be a YouthWorks job coach or a job coach manager.
I'm getting, but we live in the city, y'all. The fire engines are outside. Hold up. So, this sounds like a job for my college students who are just above, they're still a youth, and they still and a lot of them have youth in their family. They deal with youth all the time, and even in their household. So college students, and this sounds really good.
And look, I'm gonna tell you something, like Baltimore Corp, we definitely believe in individuals having as much access to our different programs as possible, right? Like as many resources and programs we have, we want people to really explore it and go through it. So listen, I'm just saying, in the best case scenario, do YouthWorks job coach, then at the end of August, you're good, take a break, and then you apply, and then you're a public ally. right? Just follow it through. And then we got the other.
You hear this? This is some
right?
super recruitment right here. You go from one to the other. And
right.
we keep to go. And then when you're done with that, we got some janitor positions. We got some
Look, when you're done with that, we have place for purpose jobs, right? We have our entrepreneurial wing that supports business. So we want to like see you follow through.
Yes.
At every stage.
And it's all about social entrepreneur. It's all about engaging. It's all about community. It's all about lifting the human race in some way. And Baltimore, why don't we need that? There's so much chaos here. So many things going on that you can talk. This is a bright light. So I'm going to really go hard on this. We're going to put it out. We're going to snip it up. We're going to definitely, I want to kind of utilize it with the community leaders who they have their hands on a lot of young people. They have their hands on a lot of, is there a requirement? Can they be is there adjudicated issue? Like
they have to be able to pass a criminal background check and
that's what I wanted to make sure of it. That's important. We're in Baltimore. Okay. So they have to be able to pass a criminal background check. Okay, excellent. And they should. They're around people's children. So that means a lot. Okay. So we got all of the benchmarks, and I love this. And when you're done with this, there's so much more in Baltimore Core you can access.
Go right to Public Allies.
Look at you. Look at Gary. I love that. That's what's up. Moving right along. I like that. And I think when you kind of start with something like that, you get your feet wet. You see what you're dealing with. You see what's going down in the spot. And you're like, wow, this is different. And then from being pretty familiar with Baltimore Core, there's a very diverse leadership. That's what I like. And very Black in you. It's like Black and Salmon in that jump. The salmon's still red, but it got some black around it. Let me stop. Gary. I'm playing. But
from the CEO,
I love that diversity.
No, it's real. But I think again, like we in order to be our authentic selves, it has to be that way.
Yeah.
It has to be that way.
It's women, it's men, it's very diverse. Yeah. I love that about Baltimore Core. So anything else you guys want to say to the community? We're moving into we've been here an hour. I love it with my brothers.
Yeah. So
anything else you guys want to say to the community about Baltimore Core or what's coming up? But I know the two things now are Public Allies, September 14th, and WorKS, job coaches, job managers, June 14th, right?
Yep, June 14th.
June 14th. So we can have something that's imminent, guys. That's the youth. That's what WorKS, summer managers, and job coaches. And then in September, you can roll right into Public Allies, 10-month cohort. You get racks, 16 racks over a 10-month period. And listen, and you get a stipend when you finish to go into college, to take the technical school. A lot of people say, well, I want to be a barber. Barber's about $5,000. Here we go. Yeah. You get what I'm saying, bro?
You got your $5, go right to barber.
You got your bag and you got a little bit,
right.
For something else. So, you got to really, really think about your trajectory. You can come in there and learn how to learn a lot of skills with the community, how to be in a cohort and share ideals, work together, build community, actualize community, and deal within a system that's controlled to make you better. Tell me where that's at. Well, we're going to pay to make you better and you're going to help your community.
Yeah.
To that at. And so this is something that we say that young people, they always say it's nothing for me to do. It's a lot for you to do. And that's why I'm so glad I have this partnership with you guys, so we can continue when you guys are having something, we continue to put it out because the community needs the access to the info.
So I don't know if I could come back or just email you, but we also have another opportunity. I don't want to hit it with too much. I want to keep the focus on Public Allies and youth. All right. I'm not trying to like push too much, but
Girl, he making my life good. I got show after show after show. I love it. Come on back, Nigel.
Right. But we also have a partnership to do some like technical software development training as well. Right. So we're trying to push that out as well.
That might even be me. Sure.
Right. So, you know, I think on that one, I'll just email you the graphics so you can share with the network. Right. I don't want to hit them with too much.
Okay. I love that. I mean,
give her a reason to invite us back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
come back. I told Nigel this is an open house for y'all. Y'all VIP. You know, me, I love Baltimore Core. They've given me an opportunity, and I'm so blessed to have you guys can come in. But you know, I told you the elevator. You know, I tell everybody I'm an elevator. Get out, because I'm an elevator. And I'm so happy to be a part of Baltimore Core, but also to be able to extend this media movement, because we got to be able to have a way to talk to the community. That the bridge is the information to the community. A lot of times things are happening right around us. So we got to have a way to get it out. So I really appreciate you guys accessing Black Box Radio and continue to do this. Let's be partners in and actually building our community. So we're building community to build a community.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate the opportunity and all that you do. Definitely. And like, your programming is always dope, and it's always real, and it's always honest, and we love that. And we thank you genuinely for like helping us share these opportunities, right?
I appreciate it. Listen, Gary Williams, it is a pleasure meeting you. You brought them teeth to me, bruh. So, and Nigel brought his castor oil beard.
There we go
today. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. And whatever comes up, let's do it again.
Definitely.
You know, first bbR SpoTLighT. I started this series to spotlight like community things and community events. So I'm so happy to do this. We're going to continue to do this. You have anything, send it to us. We'll put it out there. That's our job. We are a community organization. So I want to say thank you for coming on tonight, Brother Gary and Brother Nigel. We really appreciate you guys. And I want everyone out there, you guys too, subscribe to blackboxradio.com. That's BLAKBOXX radio.com. I know you might subscribe to all the social media, but go to our website, check it out, subscribe so we can put you on our email list. And when we're doing something, you guys can support us. How about that?
Definitely.
That's cool. All right. So you brothers have a good night. We about to inform the community. We're going to have public allies. We're going to have summer coaches, and we're going to have summer managers. It's coming.
It's coming.
That's right. We boxed up and out. Can I get some deuces? Deuces.
And